About those technical difficulties on that last stream. I was experimenting with something I should have knew better. You know, I was always taught never deviate away from your original line of travel. But hey, sometimes that's bad advice because you can't never have nothing if you ain't willing to do something different than what you've always done. And here at the Extraordinary Men, we definitely believe in pushing boundaries and trying new obstacles out. Anyway, so as I was saying prior to that unfortunate mishap, I don't know what it is specifically about people that forces them to believe that they cannot achieve or that they should not achieve or that they're not doing what they should be doing. My whole thing is speaking from my own experiences. One of the things that has always kept me down and kept me from getting to my maximum output was just the sheer fact that I was lazy. Just lazy. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I love sleep. I love sleep. And I never really pushed myself to my limits to see who I was and what I was made of. I don't really think there was a fear involved. Moreover, it was a lack of a desire to win. I don't think that I ever truly desired to see myself reach my full potential in life. I think a lot of what I've done has been predicated off of necessity, and a lot less of it was predicated off of sheer desire to be successful. All I can say is I can't speak for everybody when I say the things that I say, but I can definitely speak for myself when I say that my personal problem was lack of drive, lack of self motivation, lack of self determination. I did not want it bad enough. When I was the guy that would come up with great ideas, a lot of what shut me down was marginalized thinking. We would have ideas like, we were heavy in music back in the day. And one of the things that used to always shut me down from ever really pursuing things with my whole heart is that you start thinking about, oh, well, where you gonna get the money from? Shut down. Idea just goes away. Oh, well, if you don't have the money to get things started, it's like everything was always money, money this, money that. And it's like you start to think about it, it's like, okay, well, this is the excuse all the time. It's always what you don't have. You don't ever have enough money. It's never enough of this. It's never enough of that. And at some point in time, you have to really ask yourself, is that the problem? Or is that the problem that you're particularly assigning to this situation to prevent you from doing anything about it? And I think that we have gotten away from something extremely valuable. And that's understanding that there's a symbiotic relationship between thinking and doing. You can't just think up a good thought. You think about, and again, I might go over some people's head with this, but let's just try it out. You think about academia, right? You think about school, the concept of school. School, I never speak ill on school, but there's a lot of degrees that are absolutely worthless. There's no reason to have them. Why is there a liberal arts degree? Why does it exist? What is its purpose? What is it intended to do? When you think about trades, you think about things that we need. Is it about siphoning money out of young, impressionable people in exchange for making them feel smart? Or is it about legitimately putting ourselves in positions to create the future leaders of tomorrow? What does tomorrow need? I can tell you one thing we don't need. We definitely don't need any more rappers. We don't need any more. We don't, okay. So before I say this, I have to also take into consideration I'm on YouTube. my brothers on YouTube. We make videos. We talk about things, sometimes controversial, sometimes relationship related, sometimes finance related. We talk about a bunch of different things that revolve around the lives of men. But one thing specifically that I think about is how many people actually provide real value. I go and I look at people's stuff and I'm like, wow, these guys are scamming their butts off. If I hear the term run the play one more time in my lifetime, you can't tell me nothing about run the play. Hey, let me help you get your credit fixed. Okay, there's sometimes some good advice to be given on how to rebuild your credit. But a lot of that stuff is, hey man, pay your bills on time. If you can't pay your bills on time, get on the phone with the person that you owe the money to and let them know your situation. Negotiate whatever situation you can. And if you can't, then hey man, look, it happens to everybody. We get there and then we move on. But you got people that's trying to tell you how to scam TransUnion, how to scam Equifax, how to scam this, scam that. It's like, God, dog. There is no easy button to this. I'm almost 40. I don't know if y'all can see all this gray. I'm hoping my HD is good, but I'm almost 40 years old. I can tell you there ain't no easy button. There's nothing easy about this life experience that we live. The easiest thing that's probably going to ever happen to you is die. Because can't nobody collect nothing from you, can't nobody ask you for nothing. It's probably the easiest thing that you can do in this life is pass away. But let's get back to this school thing. I don't want to deviate too far from my point. Run the play to the fans, right? I don't want to get too far for this point. When it comes down to this school thing, this endeavor that we run into, a lot of people find themselves in extreme debt because they don't know that their degree is worthless. They have no idea that this thing that they are doing is worthless, that it has no real world utility until they get out in the real world. And then the arrogance that's invested in me after I've spent all this time and money and energy into acquiring this degree is I'm gonna hold out. I'm too good for any job other than the one that I went to go do. I hate to pick on my psych majors, but for my psychology majors, I know PhDs that are cashiers, they're department store managers, fast food supervisors and managers, sales clerks, PhDs, very well educated people. Those degrees ain't worth wiping their behinds with because you can't find work. We walk around and we think like, oh well, I want to help people. I want to help people. I want to help people. Well, guess what? Where's the funding for it? Where's the money going to come from? How do you get paid? You go online and you research how much does a psychologist make? Oh, they make like $108,000 a year. On the high side, they make this, they make that. And it's like the romantic fantasy is going and swimming through your head about how you're gonna be this person that's gonna sit across from people and talk to them and diagnose things on your sketch pad and you're gonna go home and have this fulfilling career. And then the reality is gonna come out to you that it's like, I just wasted 4 to 8 years of my life to acquire a degree that's going to do nothing for me. So when we sit here and we look at it, it's like a lot of times we don't know what's necessary. We don't know that cybersecurity is where it's at. If somebody is online trying to teach you automation, trying to teach you AI, artificial intelligence, for those who don't know what that is, if somebody is trying to teach that to you, I'm going to give you a very quick flash pan of what they're trying to give you. Either they're trying to give you and sell you information that's online already for free, or they're trying to sell you antiquated information that is no longer relevant to the workforce today. Common sense says, why would I teach you how to have a competitive edge on me if I'm making money doing it? Why would I teach you how to put me out of business? Why? What incentive do I have to teach you how to be a millionaire? Because I can teach you, I can only teach you what I know. So, what incentive do I have to teach you anything, knowing that you now become an immediate competitor in that field? There's no incentive for me to do so. So, when you're looking at these people who are selling you these dreams of grandeur, it's happening in the schools and it's happening online. The at least online, it's quick and painless. You go to school for 4, 6, 8 years and get a degree, and come to find out that you may make $40,000 a year because it's an oversaturated field. I mean, dude, that's a pain like none other. Because that pain comes with entitlement. That pain comes with the I earned this. And it comes with a crash and blow to reality that says, yeah, you earned it, but now you got to pay these $100,000 in student loans back. So now you might want to go and pay that $40,000 a year at the local department store, and that's how you gonna get it paid and try to survive off that. Let's see. Tech, medical, electricity, and law, top fields now. Anything else you're doing is because you just have a passion to do it. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as a Google search to say, okay, what's in demand? Where's the industry going? If you're paying attention to the news and you're looking at these layoffs and you're looking at the scope of the economy, you get to a place to where you realize that, okay, push for minimum wage, massive layoffs, high inflation, borderline recessions. It's a perfect medley of what is and what isn't. Now, I want you guys to understand something. Like I said in the earlier episode before I got kicked off, I'm finalizing a business degree. And finalizing that business degree, that's not where it ends. That's where it starts. That's the beginning. Now, again, I'm almost 40. What I like about my age is that I'm at a place where I'm old enough to know better and young enough to do better. And while raising kids, I'm able to show my children in real time that here's where I made the mistake. So if you do this instead of this, if that person is serious about being in a relationship with you, then they can wait until you get this done. Because if we're going to be together forever, well, guess what? Forever is a very long time. So what's the hurry? There's no hurry to make irrational decisions right now. Build the foundation. Get yourself from here to here and get yourself as quickly as you can get there, because time is the most valuable resource that we have, guys. And I'm telling this to anybody who's checking this out. Women, men, Martians, robots, AI technologists, whoever's watching this. Time is the most valuable resource that you have. And the beauty of life is that none of us know how much of it that we actually have. So because of that, every single second that you spend not doing anything is a curse that you're placing on yourself. Every second that you spend digging and learning and researching and building and networking, it's only opening up and creating things that should live longer than you. There's a beauty of fulfillment in completing things and getting things done and saying, I got that done. There's a beauty in being able to set a goal in your head and being able to see it all the way through to the end. I don't know if many people know what that feels like. Knowing that I only have 3 classes left for something I've been fighting for 20 freaking years. 3 more classes, 1 more semester, I'm almost done. That is one of the most, like, it's almost tear worthy, because for what some people may look at is like, oh well, most people do it in 4 years, 5 years, like it should have been done, it should have been this, it should have been that. Like, yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. But finished work is finished work. I can tell you that I know a lot of people, and I want you guys to mark me on what I'm saying, like literally follow where I'm going with this. I know a lot of people that finished that degree about 23, 24, that went into career fields that they were miserable at. They went in to careers that don't pay, that they didn't know that they didn't pay. They went into careers they had to travel halfway across the country for. They went into careers to where that field was no longer relevant a couple of years after they went into it. They didn't know that the well was drying up in that field. And I know this many more people who are no longer doing that thing that they went to school for. Almost everybody that I know who went to school later in life are fulfilled at what they do, because they lived enough life to know what they're good at. They know their lane. They know their particular competitive edge in that arena. And that's why I went to school for business, specifically because I know my competitive edge in this arena. I understand business in a way that I can see it, like how Kobe or Mike can look at a basketball game. They could just stare at it. It's like you can start setting the zones, and you already know, okay, if I go to Ron Harper's going to do this, or if I go to Shaq, he's going to do this. I already know how I'm going to maneuver this. If this guy go for the block, I'm going to go up for the and you just kind of understand it to a way to where you can see things from a perspective that you didn't know that you had a gift for before. And that's why, as I'm sitting there having this conversation with you guys today, it's about understanding that this is why this is titled The Great Reset. Because a lot of us are struggling to figure out where we belong, or we know where we belong, but we don't know how to crack and get into it. We don't know the steps. We don't understand the barriers of entry. We don't have the right connections to get us in the door where it is that we need to be. We don't know a lot of stuff. We are victims of what we don't know. We are held back because of what our parents didn't know to teach us. I mean, I'll just call it what it is. My parents couldn't teach me about credit. They didn't know. I think that my mother, the most that she had in her name was a light bill, maybe a couple of other utilities. She never had a credit card before. What could she teach me about paying a credit card every month? She never owned one. You can tell me something, but there's a real life practice that's involved in understanding if you never actually understood the premise of credit. Because a lot of people from that era, believe it or not, they were fearful of credit. If I ain't got the cash, I ain't got the credit. No, I don't play with no credit. I don't put nothing in my name. So when you go into the world, you thinking of credit like it's a bad thing. You don't really understand it. But then it's like, okay, you get your first credit card. It's like, yeah, man, I got this flex. I got my first Capital One. Boom, I can go swipe it. Go do this. Go do this. Hey, y'all cool if I tell y'all a little story? I like to tell stories about myself. I like to make fun of myself. I was that person that when people used to say, hey, you're gonna hear this story, you're gonna look at this years from now and you're gonna laugh at it. And I used to be like, nah, ain't nothing funny. But I get it now. I'm old enough to appreciate that. So let me tell y'all my first credit card story. My very first credit card I got, I think, was 19. My girlfriend at the time, I went and splurged buying her outfit, some other stuff that I ain't had no business buying her. I didn't know that there was a such thing as a minimum payment. My card couldn't have been no more than $300. So I knew I didn't have all the money, and I ended up just paying it because I'm like, okay, I'll be getting paid pretty soon. So I call the bank and say, hey, just let the transaction go through because I'll have the money in a few days. Obviously, obviously, but at the time, this is like 2004, 2005, you didn't have 2 day early direct deposits. Matter of fact, I don't even think I had a direct deposit. I had to go to the bank and deposit the physical check, which cost you an additional day just for it to clear. When I did this, they say, well, Mr. Jones, we can't do that. I'm like, well, I already made the payment. Like, y'all know I'm good for it. Like, y'all know how I work. I've been depositing money here for years. Well, we can't do that. So now I pay the bill. The bill comes out. It's at a zero balance. So me being stupid, I think that, okay, cool. The bank ended up doing it anyway. No big deal. Okay, great. So what do? I go rack that boy right back up. So now the payment bounced. I then maxed out the $300 card again, plus the 300 that bounced back, plus the chargeback fee that's on the card. I'm working at McDonald's at this time. I don't even make enough money to pay that $600, $700 that building became. It took me until I defaulted in the card, probably a year afterwards. So I never got an actual bill. It took me until afterwards for somebody to tell me you could have just made the minimum payment. You didn't have to do that. So let me read this comment. Credit isn't being taught to use it to leverage more credit for income. People think you use it to just buy groceries or a purse and etc., but no education being doing and why you're doing it. I agree to that. And a lot of it is too that we have to understand that as much as we feel that the schools should be one of the things that I always hear that I just think I just really I hate and I despise this statement so much. Oh, this should be taught in school. No, it shouldn't. No, it shouldn't. Because if everybody was taught to be responsible with money, there would be no business. There would be no commerce. There would be no this revolving door that we have of commerce would not exist because a well-educated public would not be doing the things that we do. Do you think a well-educated public would be splurging money on Jordans, jerseys, video games? No. A lot of people have Xbox with full collections and don't even own houses. They don't even like they're splitting the rent with homeboys. They got every video game, got the colored keyboards and all the bells and whistles and stuff, supercomputers for gaming, but they can't sustain a life without living in a group dynamic. Do you think well-educated consumers would do that? Of course not. Why would they? Why in the hell would a well-educated consumer make such knee-jerk irrational decisions? You think that the hair care market in the black community would be what it is if people made rational, sound decisions with money? Of course not. Of course not. This whole thing that we have, this whole influx of business that we have, the international market, this is a consumer economy. It's counterproductive to teach its citizens about credit, about finance, about how to properly manage checkbook, how to properly maintain credit cards. It is counterproductive to this thing that we do to properly educate citizens. Everything is for sale. I mean, look right now. What you see? What's that? I own a piece of insignia for the Chicago Cubs, but I don't own a single piece of stock in the franchise. But I feel a sense of pride. I feel like Chicago Cubs is my team. I benefit nothing, not from a single ticket sold, not from a concession stand, not from the gum scraped off the bottom of the bleachers, nothing. I can't walk on the field whenever I want to. I gain no benefit whatsoever from anything related to the Chicago Cubs. Yet, I will wear this with pride because they're my team. I didn't mint this. This is a depreciating asset. It lost value the second I bought it. I can't take this anywhere and go get more money than what I paid for it. Depreciating asset. Soon as the next model came out, it was done. That's it. This is how we live our life. This is the consumerism that we are under, that we don't always get it. But if we did get it, if we were an educated, well oiled machine, we would not function. We would not have the things that we have if people were well educated consumers. And as shameful as that is to say, that is the reality by which we live. We are not ever going to be taught. So it's incumbent that you teach your children and I teach my children. This is a bank account. This is how you do this. This is how you make a credit card payment. Keep them close to you. That is like, hey, if you find yourself in a tight spot so you don't ruin your credit, you call me and we will go through your credit counseling and help you get back on track. Don't call one of these debt consolidation companies. Do not go through, call home. Mom and dad will figure it out. We will help you figure it out. That's the education. Education in certain fields is going to be most beneficial when it comes from home because there's no incentive to screw you. So that's what a lot of this is. I mean, there's big money in credit repair. There's big money in high interest predatory loans. There's big money in irresponsibility. I mean, I got stories for days as far as the most irresponsible things that I did. I mean, for the period of time that I was in check systems and I had to go without having access to a checking account. That was the worst 5 years of my life. All for what? All for what? Being stupid. When you look back at it, it's like it wasn't even worth it. So when I learned from the mistake that I made, I never made that same mistake twice. Wouldn't even think of it. So, like we was talking about earlier today with the run to play, everything is for sale. The problem is more so of the value of the education. Subprime. I mean, subprime is such a beautiful term, right? It's such a soft blow way of saying financially irresponsible or financially illiterate. Hey, we have an opportunity for you because you're stupid with money. That's what this says. We have an opportunity for you because you cannot manage your finances properly. That's what the word subprime means. It is such a, I mean, it's such a terrible, terrible word. And I mean, I love it. I love it to death. I mean, it's such a, it is a beautiful word because you don't even realize that you're being insulted when you say it, when you hear it. And with the subprime borrowers, yeah, talking about you. Talking about your incompetent, incapable behind. Yeah, and it sounds rough. Sounds rough. But no, subprime. What is prime? Prime means ideal. You're below the ideal customer. But believe it or not, you are the ideal customer because I get to charge more for the same thing and you're going to pay it. You will pay it. If you need access to credit, you will pay. First Premier, Credit One, Mission Lane, any of these things, you're going to pay it. If you have to start building credit and you have no other options, you will pay. No questions asked. You need a place to live? Hey, 1% loans, baby. Come on, get your 1% loans. Put 1% down. Hey, you want to move in this $350,000 house? Just give us $3,500. Get you in here today. Well, you have nowhere near the skin in the game that the person who put 20% or more down, because they don't have to pay private mortgage insurance or PMI for anybody who doesn't know what that is. That PMI, like I was looking over a Chase statement, and it was like a breakdown. Like Chase has some actual really good tools inside of their app, and they were just saying like, "Hey, you can model a loan for your area," and it gives you the drop down. Here's your credit score range, how much you're gonna put down, how much of a house you're looking for, and I forget what the last one was, but like gave you like 3 or 4 little drop down criteria, and it tells you for this is what current taxes are in that zip code. Here's what current here's what what you'll qualify for the mortgage. Because you are under 20%, here's your PMI insurance. So you got a regular insurance bill. You have private mortgage insurance because you put down less than 20%, taxes, and then the actual cost of paying back the loan for what would have been 27 and change. After all those things were calculated, they said I'd be coming out of paying 36, 34 a month. When my brother started doing the math on that, he said, man, you be paying, what was it, like 2.7 million or something like that. It was 2.1. It was some ridiculous number that when you look at this for a 30-year mortgage, what you'll actually end up paying to borrow $350,000. Oh, don't even get into maintenance and repairs, maintenance and upkeep. Please, I ain't even say HOA. We didn't even get into the other tangibles, the nuances. Like that's not even a factor. I've already been priced out just just on the in that arena right there, just looking at tick 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 tick. So guess what? It will behoove you that if you got the credit, keep building your credit to make your credit higher. Get into a more premium range. Then, while you're working on building your credit to get you to a more premium range, just because I qualify, I want to qualify at the bare minimum. You want to qualify higher, get a better interest rate, set an actual real goal to say, okay, well, if I want a $300,000 house, 20% is 60,000. Okay, well, how long would it take me to save up $60,000? Well, look at your bills and expenses. Just look them over and actually ask yourself, if I start living with them like below my means, Maybe even if I had to pick up a second job, whatever it is that you have to do to get there, the reward is far greater when you get there than worrying about what you don't want to do. That's where a lot of us are. Sorry, I got a brief deviation. A lot of people got a bad case of what I don't want to do, and that's why they so far behind. I know too many people that's too good to go do something, and it is so sad because of the fact that these same people that was too good 20 years ago still ain't got nothing today. Your pride is so big that you is unwilling to do this at this stage in your life. You are willing to give up. You were unwilling to give up this amount of time and this amount of your pride for this much gain. And now you have this much loss because of this much pride. Crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm looking at things and I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm not looking at what do I need to do. I'm looking at it from a plan of action as far as how am I going to get my down payment in my bank account ready to go? That's the only question. What is my way going to be? How's the Phil Jones way of acquiring that going to be? To me, it's just that simple. You figure it out, give yourself a timetable, and you try to get underneath that timetable. So if I tell myself 2 years, let's see if I can come under 2 years. Let me see if I can do this in 1 year. Let me see if I can do this in 9 months. But I'm still gonna stack for that whole 2 years. If I'm able to hit my goal and my tick mark, well, guess what? I could set a bigger goal. Maybe I want to have a fish tank built on my wall or something. Man. Maybe I want to live cool. I want to be fly. You want to be? I want everybody want to be fly. I want to be fly too. But it has to be some level of common sense in how you operate because that's what we will fail all the time. So there's three things I want you guys to do. I'm gonna go ahead and close this thing on now. I like going live. I miss being live, man. I miss being live. I'm gonna do it way more often going forward. Y'all gonna see all of this face. I love this face. This is mine. Hopefully, y'all see. I think I'm handsome. At least that's what my mother keep telling me. I think I'm handsome. I want to keep that trend going. But anyway, that's beside the point. It's three things I want you guys to do. Number one, set a goal. If you don't already have a goal, I don't care what it is. Set a goal and get started. That's number one. Number two, if you don't already have life insurance, go get you some life insurance. Real value is involved in your worth. You may not live the richest. At least make sure that your children or your spouse don't have to worry about how they're going to bury you. They don't have to worry about how they're going to deal. They don't have to worry about certain things. At least give them a fighting chance. You may not have an inheritance to give them, but at least give them an insurance policy to put something in their pocket in your absence. So set a goal and get started. Number two, if you don't already have life insurance, go get you some life insurance. These policies are not expensive. If your work has it, spend a couple of dollars that is coming out of your check bi-weekly to get the insurance. It's not going to kill you. And max out that policy. If that policy max out at 5 times your income, you max that policy out, damn it. Max it out. Max it out. And number three, and most importantly, keep your mouth shut until you got some finished products. And I'm saying that for two reasons. Number one, A lot of people talk before they have something to show, and it ends up killing the momentum. Don't do that to yourself. Don't put yourself in that position. And number two, you don't know if you're going to encounter a dream killer. And one of the most important things about your dreams, your beliefs, and what it is that you feel in your heart of heart that you want to do, sometimes the influence that others have on us, if they don't co-sign it as a good idea, a lot of us are not strong enough to bounce back when somebody poo-poos at our idea. That just because they can't visualize it or because it's not their idea, they'll talk you down from it, or they'll make gestures that'll make you second guess yourself or whatever have you. Sometimes it's best if you just keep things to yourself until that train has left the station. Therefore, a hater can't hate on what you got going on if it's already in motion. Get it in motion. It's not about an aha or a gotcha. So again, let's recap. 3 things. Set a goal. Number 2, life insurance. Number 3, shut up until you got some legs underneath that idea. Stop talking and produce. That's my time, guys. Anyway, Phil Jones of the Extraordinary Man Podcast. Thank you guys for y'all time. Make sure that y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and every other button under the sun. Make sure you share this podcast if you guys thought that there was any value inside of it, thought that you enjoyed, if you enjoyed my personality, if you think that I am an entertaining host, trust me and my brother, we are that times 2. Make sure you come back. 2024 is going to be a very exciting year, and we're going to be sharing a lot of wins, a lot of gains, a lot of losses, a lot of love, a lot of everything right here at the Extraordinary Men Podcast. Peace.